the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. We are live here on a Thursday, a wonderful Thursday. We're all on the right side of the grass. It's going to be great. We're going to have a good conversation here. Coming at you on 97.7 KCYP, the city out of McAllen, Texas, from the McAllen Creative Incubator. Here we are. I don't know how creative we are, right? I mean, we got great material to work with, so why create our own? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we're going out on YouTube. We're going out on Facebook. We're going out on TuneIn Radio and Radio Garden, okay? One of these days, we're going to go out on some others, but right now, this is what we have. This is what we're going with, all right? So I'm glad to know that you're all out there. I hit some of you up already. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you in the chat. I've got my my goggles on here. They look like if you were ever in the military, then you know exactly what these look like. They call them, what do they call them, Joe? You were in the military. What do they call these glasses? They're birth control goggles is what they are. Thankfully, I already have 5 kids, so I don't need to worry about birth control. That's done. That's over with. Let me see if I can get on what we have here today on the I'm on the Bitcoin Otter feed right here, and I'm going to get on the Christopher Otter. Wow, look at that. In all my geekology, there I am. There I be. It doesn't look like we have any comments yet. So I'm just going to ramble a bit until we find someone that's willing to come in and, throw up there. What did it not throw up? Please don't get that wrong. I don't mean, hey, Jesse, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Nice. I'm glad you're here. If you want to talk about something, throw it out there. I hope you're enjoying your retired life, by the way. He was one of the first ones that was telling us how great retirement is and was. Hope everything's all right, brother. I hope everything's all right. God bless you. So getting into the nitty gritty of what we do here, Bitcoin earlier today was approximately $72,000 for one Bitcoin. Silver a couple days ago was 73. I didn't check it immediately prior to the show. And gold is going to be beating around the 1,500. The 3,500. We'll see. Tammy, good to see you, Tammy. Hope everything's all right with you. Let me get that. Let me get that right now. Let me see what it is, gold, because my interest is peaked now too. What is gold going for? Because I'm seeing a lot of gold stuff, and I know if you watch this before, I like silver better than I like gold. But the fact of the matter is, we have a situation where either one is going to be, in my opinion, and who am I, right? But my opinion, either one is going to be great. The thing is about silver, the great thing is a few things. One, I think it has a higher ceiling to get to $76.04 an ounce for silver and $4,772 for gold. So I think the ceiling for silver is higher. And regular people like, let's say you and me, regular people like us, we can actually get a fair amount. Barry, good to see you, Barry. Glad you can make it today. I'm talking about silver here. So silver at $76 an ounce, you could probably get a silver eagle, an American silver eagle, for less than $100. Used to be the day, ladies and gents. Used to be the day where you could get 4 of them. For a bean for $100, man. Those were the days, but I'm still sticking with the story and we'll get into this in a little bit. We'll get into this and other things in a little bit as to why I would say that buying silver at, $76 an ounce is a bargain. I don't make price predictions. I'll maybe quote someone who does, but I'm not into that because there's way too much for one person to know. I don't think any one person knows. There could be a body of knowledge out there that might give you an indication that there's upward or downward pressure on the price of this or that. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think anyone has a hard line on that. I don't think anybody, has their finger on the pulse of the gold and silver market or anything like that, unless they're rigging it, right? Which is exactly what the non-federal Federal Reserve does. The privately owned Federal Reserve and their goons Okay. At the Wall Street casino, they rig your retirement account. They rig Wall Street, whatever investment firms are out there. They rig the silver market, the gold market, the whatever market you can imagine, they rig it. Okay. So that's where I get off. I get out of the way when somebody says, hey, yeah, I trade on fundamentals. Even if I trade on technicals, you're looking at the charts with the candles. Ladies and gents, it's all rigged. All rigged. So if you think you know what the riggers are going to do, that's maybe you got an inside word. Maybe you got an inside trick or two up your sleeves. But, you can't predict a rigged market unless you're in on it. And you know what? I don't bump in those circles, guys. And I suspect that if you're watching this show, you don't bump in those circles either. It's a big club, said George Carlin, and you ain't in it. He was well before his time. He was telling us these things that guys like me are now saying. I saw a thing on, I think it was either X or Facebook yesterday. It was like an ode or an homage to William Cooper, the OG original conspiracy theorist that, everybody said he was crazy at the time, but all the stuff that he was saying is either it's already happened or it's happening now. So guys like William Cooper, who was shot in his own driveway because they couldn't kill him with a limo. I think they had like at least one or two limos drive him off of the road. He was in California, So I think he was in a mountainous region. And they tried to kill him a couple times. They visited him in the hospital and said, hey, you going to be a good boy? Or are we going to have to do this again? And he said, yeah, I'll be good. But then, basically what he was doing was he was just waiting his time out. If he had what we have today, wow, who knows what kind of words he would get out. But the fact of the matter is there are enough of us now that we're going on the record with many things that are occurring that we can see, mostly due to pattern recognition. I don't go too deep. And if you want to go deep, everybody, you know how to find me on Facebook, I'm sure. Hit me up with a messenger tag or whatever you want to do, and I'll give you some app or some links to my favorite. I mean, it's my favorite podcast. This guy goes crazy. He calls himself Burning Bright. He writes on Substack, and his podcast, one of them is called The Narrative, and it's 2 to 3 hours every Sunday night. I know a lot of us are not into that long haul, but the fact of the matter is, he is dead on, my opinion, dead on. He's not afraid to say, hey, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fake. But he goes below the surface at a level where he can actually show us his methodology. And man, it makes a lot of sense. He talks about deductive reasoning in the Hegelian dialect, and then inductive reasoning was his last show where he breaks it down. He usually has a guest, but this last one on last Sunday, he didn't have a guest. It's on Rumble. Check it out. Here I am singing the praises of somebody who doesn't even know who I am yet. The fact of the matter remains that he is an excellent analyst on the times that we live in, crazy times, right? So going back to what I said earlier about the silver market and how I think it's a deal buying it at where it is, $76 an ounce. I also think that for $72,000 of Bitcoin, and I'm not original in this, it's still a bargain. If you're into it, it's still a bargain. Now, I'm going to be fully transparent. Bitcoin may be my favorite because of how it broke the ground as far as cryptocurrencies go. But I will be honest and say that I've been buying up a lot of T-Fuel at less than 2 cents, ladies and gents. I got it for a little bit. It was like a little tiny fraction above 1 cent. Okay. You need 10,000 of them to stake, and then you gain 7%. Okay. On your node or your if you don't actually need a node. If all you want to do is stake your 10%, I can tell you how to do that. Hit me up, please. I want people. This is the biggest reason why I began this show. Well, Joe and I met at church, and he said, hey, you want a radio show? I'm running this, KCYP out of the McAllen Creative Incubator. And I'm like, yeah, let me give you a shot. So that was the beginning. God moved in us and brought it together. And I thank the Lord first and foremost as I have to, because, well, without him, where would I be? Right. So all that came together. And my purpose is this. My purpose, as I can see coming, because I look at information from many different sources. not because I'm smarter than the next guy, not because I have such a great and analytical mind. No, not at all. It's that God has given me a gift to see things, not before they happen. I'm not clairvoyant or anything like that, but I'm able to connect the dots, and I'm able to listen to smart people. I'm able to read their books. I'm able to watch their videos, and I don't really have an advantage over anybody else, but I want to get the message out. I want to let everybody know, okay? I want to let everybody know that there are ways you can protect your family from a financial disaster. I mean, everybody knows, how do you protect your family from starving to death? Well, you go to HEB and you feed them. You buy the food and you feed your kids. You feed your family. You cook for them, or maybe your wife or your spouse, if you're a woman, will cook. Pretty simple, right? So how do you defend your family against a financial disaster? Well, you buy things now that are going to be worth more later. Well, isn't that the game? Isn't that what everybody wants to do? Yeah. So why did I do what I did? Well, I decided that I was going to tell people about Bitcoin, and I decided that I was going to tell people about silver. I'm not the original here. I'm just trying to find, people of my friends that are interested. And now I have more friends that I started than when I began, or now than when I began. I love it. This is great. And I appreciate you guys watching. And throw up, if you guys have any subjects you want to talk about, okay, there's a lot out there. I'd be more than happy to talk about it. Looks like we've got about 7 people watching right now. And hopefully that'll bump up. I'm looking to get some guests on, okay? And just throwing this out there. And if you're not here live, that's great. Watching it or listening to it, driving down the road or whatever. If you got a business and you want to promo your business, if you have something that you want to bring to the attention of our fellow Americans, our fellow watchers and listeners, then please do so. I'm more than willing to have you on the show, and we can discuss things. And I'll be fair, I don't, you've seen, I'm sure, some of the shows where I have guests. I don't hammer them. I don't want to, let anybody be fooled. But hey, Jody, good to see you. Melania. Oh yeah, Melania today. And I think that was good. She pretty much cleared the air. Any of us who are, loyal to Trump know that he's not in that crowd, the Epstein crowd. Yeah, they bumped into each other. They were in the same circles for a while there in the 80s or whatever. And photos were taken. Photos are going to be taken, right? And many of them are fake nowadays. But the fact of the matter is that, that looks to be a lot of thumbs up over there. That looks to be probably something that my buddy Danny Rios would be doing. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. Anyway, Melania, I think, was very wise in coming out and clearing the air. And she basically said today that, hey, listen, Jeffrey Epstein did not introduce me to my husband. Jeffrey Epstein was not a friend. Jeffrey Epstein was not even someone that, we sought out for any type of particular contact in public. If you see each other at the same thing, yeah, it was that, if you want to bring this up, be my guest, that one of the pictures was taken with Epstein and Trump at Trump's club. But you know what? Out of all the people, man, all the people that decided that they didn't like Jeffrey Epstein, only one of them kicked him out of his joint. Only one of them kicked him out of his club. And that was Donald Trump. As soon as he found out that Epstein was into, younger girls and stuff like that. So let's not forget that. So she came out today. I didn't listen to it. I just saw a post on X basically explaining what she did, what she said, and all that. And that's great because it clears the air. Of course, people are going to claim that she's lying. Of course, whatever. And when you meet up with a person like that, you just say, hey, you know what? It's awesome that she's our first lady. It's awesome that she's beautiful, right? But one of the best things about Melania Trump is she doesn't have a penis, okay? We've had too many first ladies, okay, with one of those. So we all know who I'm talking about. But what you might not know, and I think, Jody, you probably know, she kept the door open on the Epstein case. As in, hey, we're going to keep looking into it. I don't know what Trump can't say. It's a hoax. Oh, he can. Jody, he can. Please, guys, know, and I'm sure you do know that Donald Trump can say anything. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that it's true. But when we start thinking that Trump can't say this or can't say that, we're going to be fooled the next time he says something, that is just completely out of the wheelhouse of anything that we would imagine him to say. like that Easter message, right? He says things for a reason. We're not at the level where we can say, oh, I know exactly why he said it. Maybe we could piece some things together, connect some dots, and figure out some of the things. But I'll tell you, man, he's doing things in a way that I hope and pray that we'll get some 2020 hindsight on this and have some sort of great opus of work by a conglomerate of a consortium of historians like you and me. We don't need the people. We certainly don't need professors. That's for sure. Jody says she called Congress out, said they need to listen to the victims. Of course. Now, and you know this, Jody, and I'm sure the rest of the people that are watching and listening know this also. When you make a call for victims, you know that there's going to be deep state fakes, right? You know that there's going to be another Christine Blasey Ford that's going to say, oh, I was at a high school party and this guy did this to me, right? And then you're going to find out, a week or two down the road, you're going to find out that people like Christine Blasey Ford co-author books on how they can be hypnotized and be effective to the point of complete belief at the jury in a court of law while testifying. Complete lies. She wrote a book like that. Yes. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. So yeah, I do think, and I do enjoy the fact that our first lady, all the class in the world, of course, the mainstream media won't give her credit because she just doesn't fit the profile, if you know what I mean. And I think you know what I mean. So I don't care what color a person is. I don't care what their background is. I don't care who they are. I will decide on the merits of their character. And I think somebody said something about that back in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And that part just gets thrown out when it comes to the modern crazy people and their craziness that they want us to be involved in. And I won't be. I refuse. So, yeah. So some of the other things that I was going to touch on tonight, and it goes right into why I believe something like silver is going to be much bigger. And it's even though it's way higher than it normally was, way out of its channel in the past few years, it's still going to be a good buy for you today because, ladies and gentlemen, and Jody, I know you've been paying attention to this. We are on the cusp. I mean, we are right there to the transformation of our monetary system. We're this close. The rails have been set for a long time. And yes, I'm talking about Ripple with its product, XRP. The financial rails are built. The financial rails are up and running. All we need now is an impetus. All we need now is I don't want to call it a black swan. Some people do. But something's going to come along and change our system. Let me give you Exhibit A. Right? It's in a place we've been hearing a lot about lately. The Strait of Hormuz. Right? If we're speaking, and I don't know what their language does, but in English we're gonna pronounce the H. Hormuz. Right? So in the strait, it has been reported that Iran is now charging the equivalent amount of what the petrodollar would be of a fee. There's a fee to cross through the strait because they got a toll booth there, right? I mean, they are ideally situated to take advantage of people. They could be, the what do they call it? The troll under the bridge in the Strait of Hormuz, and they are to an extent, right? Now, they're only getting enough latitude as the U.S. military will give them. But here's where I'm going. If they're charging, let's say, for your barge, your oil tanker, if they're charging a dollar amount, let's just say they charge $100,000 for you to go through your tanker to go through the Strait of Hormuz. They're not accepting petrodollars anymore, ladies and gentlemen. According to the report, they're accepting its equivalent in Bitcoin. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't always notice things at first when at first we learn. But this is big. I'm not going to be one of those, content creators that throws it out on YouTube and says, hey, with a big sign, this is huge. This is going to be great tomorrow. No, I'm just letting you know what my opinion is. And I think it is, if not the crux of the matter, I still believe it is going to be an instrumental point of pivot, a pivot point, if you will. And we can look back on the map of history and say, hey, you know what? We had this, and this, and this. But you know what really marked an international milestone? When Iran, as crippled as it was, knew that Bitcoin was better for them than petrodollars. How long do you think it's going to be until the rest of the world adopts it? How long do you think it's going to be before there's a critical mass in the amount of people that lose faith in the Federal Reserve note? Ladies and gentlemen, the banks have lost faith in the Federal Reserve note. The Federal Reserve is private, and the Federal Reserve banks no longer have faith in their own fake money. How do we know this? Do you think that JP Morgan, right? Do you think that Bank of America? Do you think Citibank? Do you think they're buying up paper money and storing it in their vaults? No. They're buying up gold. They're buying up silver. Yes, they're buying up Bitcoin. To what degree, I do not know. But they're not storing away Federal Reserve notes. Why would they? Why would they? They can create it. Every time you're getting a loan, debt is created. What is the Federal Reserve dollar? It's a debt instrument. That's what it is. Jody says, and the Trump administration wants the petrodollar. So this information is all conflicting, being a pro-crypto president. It's not sitting right with me. I know it's not, Jody, and with many others also. I have a great friend, Sam, who I have to wade through the very, how do I put it, critical videos that he watches seemingly endlessly. And I understand that people are at the point where you're at, Jody, that it's not sitting right with you. And I understand. But the fact of the matter is, the narrative is different from the actual. And we can't arrive at the actual by examining the narrative. Sometimes we can connect it, but I'll tell you, the narrative battle space is such that we normally won't know it until time has passed. Perhaps even events have coalesced and we can then see. Ladies and gentlemen, if it sounds crazy, it is crazy. Say what you will about our times, but they're not boring. And here's where I'm going with this. Donald Trump knows that when he says we want a strong American dollar, it resonates with American citizens, the vast majority of American citizens. But he also knows we really need a weak American dollar. And what do I mean by that? If we have a strong American dollar, international trade doesn't have the effect on our companies here in the United States, doesn't have an effect on the businesses, doesn't have an effect on the employees of said businesses, doesn't have the best effect because it's an imbalance. If we have a weak petrodollar, we're going to see more international business. Okay? We will have more businesses with which to do business with a weak dollar as opposed to a strong dollar. And in the end, it is my hypothesis, not that I originated it, but that I have it, I hold it. It is my hypothesis that we will transfer from this criminal enterprise called the Federal Reserve System into a sovereign monetary instrument to the United States. That said, other nations will have their own sovereign national currency, perhaps. If not, we can have and come together internationally a system by which, using blockchain, we can pick a cryptocurrency. Let's say Bitcoin, like Iran is using. You want to go through the Strait of Hormuz? Well, pay me in Bitcoin. How much would it be in petrodollars, Iran? Well, it will be 100,000 petrodollars. Give it to me, equivalent in Bitcoin. Bada bing, bada boom. We're done. We're done, as my Italian friends like to say, like this. What do you want from me? We're done. Okay? We are done. This whole thing about fiat currency is done, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know it yet. You don't see it yet, but it's done. And this is why I do what I do. I'm not smarter than you. I'm not better than you. I'm certainly not richer. All I am is sharing with you what I've learned, because I love to read. I love to look into this stuff. And I've been right a few times. Oh, I've been wrong too. But think about it this way. If instead of bumping up your 401k by a percentage point or two, you decide to either buy some gold, buy some silver, or buy some Bitcoin incrementally, as you would throw that extra 1, 2, or 3% into your 401k, you say, no, I'm going to take that 1, 2, 3% of my income and I'm going to put it into silver. I'm no guy to guarantee anything. But if I was, I would guarantee that you would get a better return and you would feel safer buying silver than getting involved in the Wall Street casino at this point. And I think, and if anybody can mark that, send a reminder up, I think that will bear fruit. I think that prediction will bear fruit. I really do. If I would have said this last year, back in April of 2025, would I have been right in April of 2026? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good job. Oh, by the way, I don't know Sue and Jim, and I know Tammy's on. If you guys are on, I'm going to sport this. I'm gonna promo this. This, okay, is the handiwork of one Jim O'Rourke. Okay, if you want to learn more about it, you want something like this. Look at this. Look, see, you just put your phone in the slot. Bam, sideways. I'm charging right now, so if I wasn't charging, I could stand it up. Same. You get what design you want. Okay, it's not like Jim does just Buffalo Bills. That'd be great for us Bills fans. And Joe, you going to get a close up on this one?
Yes, I got it.
All right. So
you want to demonstrate how it works down?
Yeah. So you just set it down on the table, or even if you're in bed, you put it on top of the pillow or whatever, and bam, there you go. He's not going to kill you. He's not going to beat you up over it. The price. He's not going to. He's out of Florida, but yeah, if you want to stand it up, it all works. It all works, ladies and gents. It all works. And again, like I'm saying, you don't have to have the Buffalo Bills. It's just, this is what I like, right? So what you can have is whatever you want on there, as long as you can find it, right? I don't think, you would have a problem finding your favorite team or Bitcoin. How about Bitcoin? Your name, your company name, whatever you want. These would be great for promos, man. He does a great job. He does cutting boards. He does flags. And I think I've shown that a few times, shown off the flag that Jim made me. So that is something that I can hook you up with easy peasy, right? Hit me up on Messenger. Everybody's got it. Hit me up on Messenger. Let me know, and I'll get you in touch with Jim. So thank you, Jim. Again, this was a gift to me. And he doesn't know I'm promoting it. He doesn't pay me anything, but that was a great gift. Thank you, among others. Thank you very much, Jim. So Barry says, where do we got here? I believe following our greatest ally into Iran was a big tactical error on our part. You know what, Barry? I would agree if our president didn't know exactly what he was getting into. People in the media, they say, oh, Trump miscalculated. Oh, Trump has bad advisors. Oh, Trump was misled. Oh, this, oh, that. No. Ladies and gentlemen, who convinced Donald Trump to run for president? You might disagree with me, and you feel free to do it, but I'm going to tell you the shot. The United States military recruited Donald Trump. How do we know this? There's a lot of things, but let me give you the signal that they gave us. It was in the 2016 inauguration speech of Donald Trump. I've covered this before. I'll do it again one of these days. You know what, Joe? One of these days I'm going to send you the video, and you could play it. I think we might even have done it, but it's probably in the bowels of Joe's computer there. But anyway, I'll send it again freshly, and we could show it. So there's a point, and I can't remember the exact mark. I can't remember the exact amount of time. It was less than 30 seconds to my recollection. But as Donald Trump is talking, okay, about bringing power back to the people, a phalanx, I love that word, a phalanx of military men with brass and all, silently, the crowd behind Donald Trump moves. He's not watching, he's looking at you and me on the TV, right? He's getting filmed. The military men the men stand silently behind him. What they're telling us is that the military is behind Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is behind us. Okay? So let me dig in a little bit, Barry, on your greatest ally comment. And I know there's a lot of people out there right now who might not even know what you're referring to. I do, and thank you for that. Our greatest ally is not who we think it is. Many people will believe, especially Christians, of whom I am one, a devout, I'm not religious, ladies and gentlemen. I won't pretend to be anything I'm not. But I believe in Jesus Christ. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I wholeheartedly believe in him. I have given my soul, offered up my soul that he created, right back to him. So when I say that Christians are really, unfortunately, the most fooled on this, I mean it. Because there was a version of the Bible called the Schofield Bible. It was published in the 1800s, I believe. And what it did is it created, I won't say out of whole cloth, I mean, it loosely referenced Bible verses. But it created an eschatology on biblical prophecy. And to me, it was a bunch of hooey. And I use that term because, well, there might be kids watching. But you know other terms, and you can use them freely in your own mind. It was bunk, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the nation state that was created in 1948 and installed in the Middle East, not what we think it is. I could very well be canceled just for mentioning these things, and that ought to tell you something. Because I think it was it Voltaire, I believe, said that if you ever want to find out who is ruling over you, just inquire about who you cannot criticize. And I'll tell you what, if you criticize this certain nation state, the people in it, or their diatribes as they vocalize them, then you are labeled with a label that you cannot really get out from under. It's like a tar and feathering process that you won't soon escape. So what I'm saying is that I think Donald Trump knew exactly, Barry, to your point, knew exactly who he was getting mixed up with. And I think part of what he did was a disarmament operation. What do I mean by that? Because, he supposedly disarmed the nuclear. Not only did he disarm the nuclear danger, and if you're driving around, you don't see me doing the air quotes, the nuclear danger, right? He not only diffused that, he not only destroyed that, he not only disappeared that as a talking point, but he destroyed that impetus for war. So what he really did, Barry, is he took away the international mandate whereby people would agree with Israel, I said it, if Israel made Iran into something that resembles Gaza. They no longer have the international permission, if you will. Not that they ever would, but they would have said something along the lines of, hey, they were working on nuclear weapons. Donald Trump disarmed that. It's like having a bear trap that Donald Trump just, threw a stick into, and everybody's watching. They're not going to be able, the usual suspects are not going to be able to open up that bear trap again and tell everybody, hey, they got nukes. Jody says, Trump said in a post that the First Lady of France is a woman and better looking than Candace Owens. He's starting to sound crazy to people who know better. It's like he's going against everything we already know. He also tore into Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, and Megyn Kelly at the same time for criticizing that juice box. You know what? I don't know where Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, and Megyn Kelly are at. Won't pretend to know. But if they're being sponsored, they're being sponsored by the same people. When you see the alignment of narratives, and I'm not, please don't get me wrong. I still believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene is playing kayfabe with Donald Trump, just like Elon Musk and Trump had their divorce and then they were buddy again. They had to do that for economic reasons. What Megyn Kelly, what Candace Owens, what Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones are doing, I really don't have an idea. I don't follow them much. To me, when someone breaks a threshold of viewers and followers, it sends a message to me that I guess it's kind of like if you're going to buy a stock, you buy the rumor, sell the news. They're the news now. I don't know that I want to follow that. I might listen, get a soundbite here or there, but I'm watching a guy now, and I just mentioned, his handle, Burning Bright, and his podcast, The Narrative. I'll tell you, it takes concentration to listen to his breakdown of deductive versus inductive reasoning and how it fits in narrative battle space. He's not in a 101 class, and you won't be taking a 101 class, and he's certainly not a professor. He might be pretentious at times. He's a younger guy, was an MMA fighter, whatever. He's a little cocky, right? But man, does he know what he's talking about. Wow, does he know what he's talking about. You get a little dose of that. You don't want to go to sound bites again. You don't want to listen to somebody with 427 million followers because they're catering to a vast audience, and a vast audience almost never has the real shot or is even close to coming to it. That's my feeling on that, right? I don't know, Jody, to some degree, I'm certain that you agree with that. You don't follow really popular people, I know. But I do know that he sounds crazy. I do know that he's coming off as unhinged. But I also know that it's a narrative deployment because that's not who he is. He's a calm person, okay? If he goes off, if he's on film or on video and he goes off the edge or he goes off on a tangent, if you will, then perhaps he's doing it for a reason, and perhaps he's triggering someone, perhaps he's signaling someone. I don't know. I don't know. You might think I'm drinking the Kool-Aid like my buddy Sam says, but the fact of the matter is this. He's gotten us through these things again and again and again. There's no maze that can get him. There's no way he's going to be Jack Torranced in a maze and have himself freeze like a popsicle. Okay? And hopefully if you're old enough, you know exactly what I'm referring to with Jack Torrance in the maze at the Outlook Hotel. I don't know why I said that, but I did. And I'm not walking it back. All you Shining fans out there. Yes. So what I'm getting at is this. He sounds unhinged, Jody. He really does. I understand that. I'm not going to make excuses for that other than to say I'm fairly certain there's a reason for him sounding that way or him coming off that way. It's a narrative deployment. To what target? I don't know. I really don't know. But he also could be talking to the invisible enemy. Who are the invisible enemies? What is the invisible enemy? You have a name for it. Everybody does, right? The International Criminal Cartel, the Khazarian Mafia, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it, right? Some people believe that, it's British royalty still calling the shots. Some people think it's the Khazarian Mafia. Say what you will about it, but it's real. And it's invisible because they wormed their nation. They've been kicked out of a lot of them, but they wormed their way back in. They're certainly here in America. We know that. They own the mainstream media. They have for generations, right? World War II was because of them. World War I was because of them. Pretty much every war is a banker's war, ladies and gentlemen. All wars are banker's wars. Okay. So here we are, Thursday, April 9, 2026. Where do we go from here? Okay, a famous line from Axl Rose. Where do we go from here? Where do we go now? Well, we, as little people, don't really determine that in a large macro sense. But if we're talking about the micro, we can, and I'm sure we have, guys like you, Jody, you Trump 2.0, possibly. I don't buy the death thing. But yeah, I get what you mean. I do believe that there have been clones, if you will, actors, just like with Biden. We could see the edge of the mask every now and then. Again, same with Kamala. We could see the edge of that mask that was peeking out, over or under the blouse. Yeah, I think a lot of that is going on. To what extent exactly, I don't know. But if it was a Trump 2.0, then unless you think they're going to go, wow, I just thought of this. Unless you think they're going to go completely off the rocker and say that he had a mental break or something, and then he's going to come back in a few months and say, hey, yeah, that was just an episode. It passed, whatever. I mean, I'm open to anything, right? I'm open. I'll listen. But even let me go as far as this. Even if, God forbid, Donald Trump does have something wrong health-wise, we're not going to know. Of course, the mainstream media is going to want to run it up, and they're going to want to tell us how bad off he is, but we won't know. We can't know. Okay? My opinion. Again, my opinion. There will be a body double. There will be whatever. But it will be taken care of. I can assure you it will be taken care of. This is something that is imperative for not only our nation, but the world. You see, we are the city on the hill. We are the light. God is the light, right? But he has blessed us so much that we are the last bastion of freedom. I'll tell you who's been holding the torch, though. And you are welcome to believe that I'm wrong, but I don't believe for 1 second that I'm wrong. Russia. Russia was the stalwart of the bastion of, I'll use that term again, freedom during the Cold War. Well, post-Cold War. And I'll tell you what, they've been holding that flag, man. They've been holding that flag. Now, again, the Burning Bright, the guy who does the narrative, I'll go back to him. He has many, many different in-depth writings on various potentials in the world. But my favorite one is the Sovereign Alliance. And it's not just him. Q has, how would you say, run on about this to an extent. The Sovereign Alliance says basically that America via Trump, China via Xi, and Russia via Putin are communicating via back channels. I completely agree. Completely agree with that. Yeah, we can maybe plot that out on certain events and things of that matter, or things that are said, things that are not said. I could probably do a multitude of shows on that Sovereign Alliance, but I won't, because Burning Bright is the author of that. I will never take credit for anything that someone else, and especially this guy, he's on Rumble. The Narrative is one of his shows, and if I'll tell you what, if you want a link, I'll hit me up. Sue, good to see you. Dad says I have his glasses. I love you, Dad. I love you, Dad. Yeah, I was over there visiting in Florida for a little while, and I would put my glasses down, and they look just like yours, Dad. So he would pick them up, and he'd look at me weird. But yeah, Dad. These glasses are mine. I managed to maybe to get them out of your place, but I'll bet yours are still there, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, Jody, there's a lot of things that could be, but here's what I like to do, and you do you, and you do a great Jody, and one of these days you're going to come on the show. You hit me up when you're ready, whatever. But I try not to focus on the micro. I try to pull back to the 40,000 foot level and go with a macro, because I would drive myself crazy. You seem to be pretty sane, but I'll tell you what, I would be crazy if I followed every nuance, every soundbite, every Candace Owens, every Alex Jones, every Tucker Carlson. If I followed all of them into the narrative that they are espousing or broadcasting, oh man, I would be, it doesn't fit well with my psyche, I guess. And I choose not to. I simply choose not to chase narratives. I would rather sit back, assess from, again, that proverbial 40,000 foot view, and try to figure out, if not why exactly things were said, like Trump and his latest ravings, right? If not why they were said, then to what effect? What was the target of this or that narrative deployment? Sometimes you can get it. Sometimes it's pretty apparent. Other times you may never get it. But the fact of the matter is, we are in a war. Marcos, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. We're talking about narrative deployments, and Jody was on a little bit telling us that pretty much what we have all seen lately, Trump sounds a little bit deranged. But again, that is for effect. If you guys are military guys, I wasn't infantry, that's for sure. We don't have that in the Air Force. But in infantry verbiage, if you like where the artillery is hitting, you say fire for effect. That's basically what Trump's doing with this talk of his. He's firing for effect. And what is that effect? What is the target? Is it a massive target? Is it a general target? Is it a precise target? We don't know. But he's speaking to somebody. Somebody knows exactly what he's saying, but he just sounds like crazy to all of us. So we will see. Ultimately, Lord willing, we will see. Might not be soon, might be soon. But I have a hunch, ladies and gentlemen. This is me, and I was talking to a friend of mine last night about this. I believe that knowing what I think I know about Donald Trump is that he won't want to leave office without finishing the job. What do I mean by that? He has told us that someday we will not have the Internal Revenue Service because he is creating an external revenue service via tariffs. I think that's going to happen in this term. Don't hold me to the pinpoint. I'm not going to say, hey, tomorrow everything's going to be great and we won't have an income tax. I'm not saying that. But I do believe in the next year or two, it's going to get phased out, the income tax. And tariffs will be phased in as a legitimate monetary structure with which to run the federal government. He has shown us indications of this stuff. How? Well, I think it was the other day I saw a video or a snapshot of him walking under a portrait of, I think it was Howard Taft was his name. He was one of our presidents, Taft. What's significant about that? Well, he was the last president to run the federal government on tariffs. And we were awash in funds. We did not run a debt, ladies and gentlemen. We're over 40 trillion, I think, now in financial debt. It's not even legitimate, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen what's in California. We've seen the Minnesota leering centers. This is a fraud upon you and me. Our taxes are being stolen. We don't owe that money. I don't believe it for a second. So when the Federal Reserve is thrown into the scrap heap, I don't think we're going to be paying these taxes. And here's the thing. If we don't pay income tax, and Donald Trump runs or doesn't run in 28, maybe he endorses somebody, let's just say. The other side is going to say, hey, we need to bring these taxes back. Do you think people or the American people or any people are going to want to, pay taxes again after they've just been unshackled from a criminal debt-based monetary system? You think they're going to dive back into that? Not only no, but heck no. Ain't going to happen. So these are some of the reasons why I personally believe that we're going to see these changes. And a lot of people, and I know, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? I'll tell you, we haven't seen the arrests, but you know what we have seen? And I know if you're on X and you're on Facebook, you've probably seen this a lot. Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, what did he say? I'm sure you've seen a quote at some point or another. He says you have to impeach the corrupt judges before you can have a legitimate judiciary system. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have a legitimate judiciary system in our country. It is shot full of communists, of people that were installed in the positions they are to bring about the globalist version, the globalist vision of a destroyed America, right? We see it every day. These criminals are left loose onto the streets and they kill someone. Many of them are illegal aliens. We see this every day. Unfortunately, we do. So, what do I mean? We are going to need to, and I think we are going to see why. Because again, the impetus is coming. The wave, if you will, of people on social media, which is an indicator of sorts, is, I guess you could say, accelerating to the point where at one point or another, even normies are going to see this. And they're going to say, okay, maybe we should impeach some of these judges. And then a process will be instituted, or at the very least introduced. And then maybe we can institute it. And maybe we can get things done. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. Not going to happen overnight. How could I be so patient? Well, I don't know. I have faith first and foremost in God above, in the kingdom of God. I serve his kingdom first. But I'll tell you what, having been born and served the United States of America for decades, this is my second home. First heaven, second the United States of America. I've rolled the dice for many years, ladies and gentlemen. I'll die for this country. I roll the dice more often than you might know. But the fact of the matter is, where we are today is better than we were a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. And when we say MAGA, I mean it's a pejorative now for the communists. They use it, they throw it at us. All it means is make America great again. And that's what Trump is showing us. He's got portraits of Andrew Jackson up. Andrew Jackson killed the bank, the second international globalist central banking system, Federal Reserve. He killed the second one. Now we got the third one. Trump's going to slay that dragon, man. He's going to do it. So you got Jackson, you got Taft, you got these wonderful presidents that we don't learn about in school. Who do we learn about? The communists. Oh, you don't think FDR was a commie? Scum. Oh, I'll go on. I can go on. Fact of the matter is this. There's a guy out there, he was a Soviet dissenter, and he defected from Soviet Russia. His name was Yuri Bezmenov, and he did at least one interview that I saw in 1982. And he told us exactly how the communists were infiltrating the United States. And wouldn't you know it, it's all come true. All come true. And there was a man, a senator, who should have his statue everywhere here in the United States. One day, maybe he will. His name was Joseph McCarthy. He's a byword now because the communists have infiltrated to such a degree our educational system that they use this as a pejorative term, calling it McCarthyism. Well, I'll tell you what, if people would have listened to Joseph McCarthy, we would not have this many communists in our government. I guarantee you. I guarantee that. So all that to say, we're going to beat communism. We're going to win. Not only this war, whether it's a narrative war, a real war, a fake war. Because, yeah, there's a lot of people saying the wag the dog thing. The wag the dog thing is real, legitimate, and in play. If you haven't seen Wag the Dog, I think it's either late 90s or early 2000s piece of work from Hollywood with Dustin Hoffman. Robert De Niro is in it. It was good. Basically, it shows you what mainstream media can do when leveraged by the military to create a war that never happened except for on film. And now we don't need film. We have video and AI. So you be the judge, right? We're coming to the close, ladies and gentlemen, of another Bitcoin Otter radio show on 97.7 KCYP, the city out of McAllen, Texas. Also on YouTube, Soundgarden. No, that's a band. Soundgarden. Radio Garden. And a couple others. I'm really enjoying this. I'm telling you, this is a great time to be alive. Ladies and gentlemen, I can guarantee that your grandchildren, Your kids and your grandkids are going to ask you at some point, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, Lord willing, we will be alive, to give the story of what happened in these days. So remember it, journal it, if you will. But man, it's a great time to be alive. Thank God for God himself, of course, Jesus Christ, our Savior, but also the people, the patriots of all nations, the patriots of the United States of America, the patriots of Mexico, the patriots of Canada, even Canada, the patriots of Russia, the patriots, okay, of China, that fight against the deep state, that fight against the Illuminati, that fight against the usual suspects who have wormed their way into the finances of all nations here on earth. Thank God that he allows his presence to be felt in so many people. As a guide, as a light, a lamp for our feet. Thank you, Father. Thank you. And I pray that patriots all the world around, in nation states that God himself invented. After the flood, 70 of them were created when he, at the Tower of Babel, broke us up into separate languages. A gaggle here, a gaggle there. Well, we can understand these people, let's stick with them. We can understand those people, let's stick with them. And they spread out, we spread out all over the world. And what do? We created nations. God created the nations and we lived them. So nations are biblical. That said, so is patriotism. Not above the kingdom of heaven, of course, but we should be proud of where we were born in and our fellow people in our nation. And America's special. America's special because we don't have a predominant, maybe not anymore, right? Genetic code or whatever. We are just Americans. All different colors, sizes, shapes, whatever. If you have the stuff to be an American, you can be an American. So let's do it. If you're Mexican, great, man. Be a proud Mexican. Fix that country. You're an American, be a proud American. Fix it. Let's fix it. Same with Canada, Russia, Europe. Don't get me started. I said we're going to, end this. So don't get me started. Thanks, Chewy. Thank you, brother. Thank you. God bless you too. And for the rest of you that are listening and those that are not, those that are listening now, those that are watching now, those that are listening and watching in the future, God bless you. God bless your families. God bless you in your attempts to protect your families for any type of disaster, be it financial or any other thing. And thank you for watching and listening for another week of the Bitcoin Otter Show. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America. We are cutting out and see you next week, Lord willing. God bless you and God bless America.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much.
On 97.7 FM, The City.